So in this video, I'm going to talk about the details that I've missed, or the things that I noticed, or some new theories that could possibly explain who Bloody Rose is. So let's rewind back to episode 1. At first, I'm going to be honest, I didn't believe that Dr. Sullivan was telling the truth about her son Sebastian and that Archie killed him. But then when I was watching episode 1, I'm like, ooh, I think, damn, Dr. Sullivan might be right. And I think she was trying to like hint at the truth this whole time. In episode 1, during a therapy session just with Imogen, Dr. Sullivan is trying to help Imogen work through her fears in regards to Archie. Dr. Sullivan tells Imogen that fear is the perception of danger, both real and imagined. Then Imogen tells Dr. Sullivan, except our boogeyman happens to be real. Then Dr. Sullivan tells Imogen, I know all about the boogeyman and he scares me too. Dr. Sullivan then tells Imogen, even if her worst fears come true, that Archie escapes out of prison and he comes after her baby, don't you think the most prudent thing to do would be not to lead aid to Estelle? She tells her that lurking around her house is like a beacon that's calling him to her. I wonder in that moment when Dr. Sullivan was being so frank, like, one, was she projecting a little bit, but also trying to give Imogen solid advice like, hey, I don't feel comfortable or the need to share my story about Archie, but I don't want what happened to me to happen to you and your child. Now we have to do it. Let's talk about Ash. I think Ash might be harboring a lot of resentment towards Mouse because she spends way too much time on Spooky Spaghetti. In episode 1, Ash catches Mouse on Spooky Spaghetti and it's like, you're freaking me out because you're on this website 24/7. Ash then calls Mouse out for breaking into the school so that they can like conjure up Bloody Rose Waters' spirit. Ash is like, what's going on with you? Then Mouse tells him, hey, we just conjured up her spirit for fun. And Ash is like, okay, well, can we now like have a little fun? Ash specifically says, can we actually have fun for a change? And then asks Mouse, like, can we actually go out on a date? Mouse agrees to go on the date, and then in that scene, now I understand what everybody was talking about with Ash. I finally saw the patch that had the red flower or the red rose on it. I was like, okay, Ash, giving us a little clue that you may be Bloody Rose. So as Mouse is getting ready for, her date with Ash, she gets a notification from Spooky Spaghetti saying that somebody found Angela Waters' cabin in the woods. And as we know, Mouse ends up canceling the date, and she ends up lying to Ash, saying that she has to do inventory in the pawn shop. Ash eventually catches Mouse in the lie, but I'm not gonna lie to you, Ash is giving me Scream 1 vibes, like giving me Billy Loomis vibes. One also, with the hair as well, but it's giving me Billy vibes because Billy felt neglected by Sydney because she wasn't giving him sex. So I'm wondering if Ash is feeling neglected. Well, not if. Ash has been feeling neglected by Mouse. And I think it didn't help when Mouse was like, yeah, we can go on a date, and then ends up canceling him and ends up canceling it with him because of Spooky Spaghetti. So Ash is definitely on the suspect list, for right now. So let's rewind back to episode 2. The only thought that came to my mind was, why would Bloody Rose kill Sandy? Like, Sandy is just a non-factor. She's just a pick-me, but there was really no real reason to kill Sandy. Like, at first I thought it was, a promiscuous teens, like, we're gonna kill all of them, but that's not how, at least for me, the season progressed. So I'm like, who would really want to kill Sandy besides Kelly? And I was like, could Kelly be involved in this? So I started to grow suspicious of Kelly when I was watching the end of the episode, but then I really thought about it, and I'm like, maybe Karen is actually still alive. And maybe Karen is like, there's nobody who's going to steal Greg from me, including Kelly. But I'm going to handle Sandy first. Okay, now let's rewind back to episode 3. In this episode, Tabby heads over to Christian's house to see his mask. When Christian goes upstairs to go check on the pizza rolls in the microwave, that's when Tabby takes it upon herself to start snooping around. She notices a locker, and she notices that the locker is like slightly ajar, and then she opens that locker. And when she opens up the locker, she sees that there's an Archie mask there. And then when she opens up the locker next to that one, she sees the Bloody Rose water mask, which I'm like, come on, girl. Like, I've already told you guys my feelings on Christian. Like, I don't trust that man. Tabby rightfully freaks out, But I'm gonna be honest with you, when I was rewatching that episode, I feel like that was a trap that Christian set out for Tabby. I think Christian purposely left that locker a little bit open to test Tabby to see if she's suspicious enough of him to snoop around when he's not there. What I find interesting is Christian's like, oh, I didn't want you to find these masks. But I don't buy that, because if that was truly the case, that you didn't want, if that Christian didn't want Tabby to see the Archie and the Bloody Rose Waters mask, then you would have, one, either not had those masks in your house when she visited, or two, you would have secured that locker and you would have made sure that there was a lock on both of those lockers. You wouldn't have left one slightly open. I just truly don't trust this man. Let's rewind back to episode 4, and I'm gonna be honest, in this episode the sus that I had for Kelly actually went down. Kelly actually tried to change certain parts of Redemption House because she knew that it would actually hurt the girls. She expressed to the Reverend and to her mother that she was having doubts about the subject matter. Kelly said that, I fear that some of the subject matter that we're exploring might be actually hurtful to the people, like hurtful to people that I actually care about. So in this moment, I was like, oh wait, Kelly actually had the girls' back. She tried to defend them. So I was like, wait, she actually cares about these girls. In this episode, I'm not gonna lie, I'm starting to trust a little bit more that what Dr. Sullivan was saying about her son Sebastian is true. During this episode, Imogen is visiting Dr. Sullivan in the hospital, and Dr. Sullivan hints towards the fact that she has lost her son. When Imogen's visiting Dr. Sullivan, they start talking about grief, but the kind of grief that you experience when you lose someone that you love. And Dr. Sullivan chimes in and she says that she's had her share of loss as well. So I'm like, oh, I think she's telling the truth about Sebastian. Last note that I had for this episode was, who has Farron's home number? Because that's how she received her final girl call. So I'm like, who has that? I have no notes for episode 5. I was trying. So in episode 6, like, they can't find Wes. So Tabby and Christian decide that they're going to snoop around Wes's apartment. And it's interesting because when they snoop around Wes's apartment, we do see masks, and they do look similar to the ones that Christian did, where they're more monster masks. But what I noticed was on Wes's bookcase, there's actually like a human face type of mask that's there. It's not a monster mask. And it reminded me of episode 7, I think it was, when Christian was like, anyone with a 3D printer can make like a human mask, like a human face mask. So I thought that was interesting that like Wes had all these monster masks, but he only had that one human like face mask you couldn't really see because it was at a distance on his bookcase. Now for episode 7, I honestly feel like Karen is still alive, and I don't think Kelly or Miss Beasley knows this. I think Karen attacked Kelly, and also I wouldn't be surprised if she wants like her life back again, because Kelly literally stole her man Greg. I mean, now Greg is with Farron, but she might still like, you know, be harboring some resentment towards that. Also, that would make sense why Sandy got killed, because I still don't understand how that non-factor got the axe. Also, what I can't get out of my mind is the fact that there was roses placed on Karen's tombstone. And yes, we know Miss Beasley and Kelly went to go visit her earlier in the day and they left those roses there. But for whatever reason, I feel like those roses are like foreshadowing in episode 8 that Karen is going to be revealed as Bloody Rose Waters. Imogen also freaked out when she saw those roses at Karen's tombstone. That's what I'm like, I wonder if she's thinking like, wait, did I see Karen's face? I don't know. Please comment down your thoughts. Please let me know what you are thinking, what you are feeling. If you guys rewatch the episodes and you guys notice something else, because I'm really feeling like they're going to reveal that Karen is still alive, that she's Bloody Rose, and that she's been like seeking like revenge on all of these girls, honestly. And I feel like she's like, no, I want my place back again.